1821, contact departure, good day.
Good departure, Delta 1821, good day.
Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here. I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, and we both kind of came to the realization that there may be some of you watching these videos that are new to flight simulation. With FSX now being on Steam, we're getting a lot of new folks interested in this hobby of ours, but if you're just starting out at flight simulation, some of what you're seeing as far as the procedures and stuff in my videos can be pretty daunting. Following real world procedures in an aircraft that I paid money for, which is designed to behave like the real aircraft, could be a little overwhelming for somebody who's not used to flight simulation. Add to that the fact that you've joined a virtual airline, or you may have joined a virtual airline, and you know, you've got a lot going on with that as well. You've got your ACARs to deal with, planning your flights and all of that. So what I wanted to do was start putting together some short tutorial videos on the very basics of FSX with default aircraft to teach you how to basically fly from point A to point B in the simplest manner possible, so that you don't have to worry so much about all those extra procedures. Now, these videos are going to gradually become more and more advanced, and the idea is that eventually you'll want to follow real-world procedures with an aircraft that simulates a real-world aircraft, which will include proper flight planning, weather, fuel management, all of that stuff, how to fly a VOR approach, and so on, and the list goes on and on and on and on, and there's a lot of stuff involved. But for right now, if you're new to flight simulation, what you really want to do is you just want to get in and fly the airplane. So what we're going to do in this video, this first tutorial video, is I'm going to show you how to do a basic FSX flight plan to get you from point A to point B, so that you can fly your routes for your virtual airline, or if you're just out there having fun, you can fly your routes with ease and you know, not have to stress about setting up a proper flight plan and fuel management and all of that. Instead, you're going to hop into the aircraft and you're going to get going. And then I'm going to show you how to start all of your default FSX aircraft with the click of a couple of buttons. Now, this is my second take on this video because I managed to somehow completely delete the first one, which is annoying, but it is what it is. That being said, let's go ahead and set up our flight plan. Now, you'll see when we start doing this, I've already got a flight plan in there. That's alright. I'm still going to show you how to plan the flight. First thing I always do, I load the aircraft where I want to start. So today, we're going to set up a flight to go from Phoenix, Arizona to Page, Arizona. It's a flight I did earlier today. It is on the schedule for Phoenix Virtual Airlines, whom I fly for. And since we did that flight earlier and I did it in a King Air 350, I would like to do that, set up that flight for you now in the default King Air 350 that comes with your FSX. So you get the flight or the aircraft. You choose the aircraft on your opening screen. When you fire up your FSX, you get the little screen pops up. You choose your aircraft, and then you choose your starting position. Now, I know that I want to start this flight at gate 116 at Phoenix, so I chose Phoenix as my starting location and gate 116. That's going to become critical here in just a second, and you'll see why. So once you've loaded into the sim and you're ready to get started planning your flight, you go ahead and click on the Flights button or the Flights tab right up here and click Flight Planner. And that's going to pop up this little window. Now you can see I have a flight plan in there, but that's okay. We're going to go through it anyway. So to choose my departure location, I'm going to select this button here, and I'll type in the airport that I want to depart from. Now, if you don't know ICAO codes, this is an ICAO code. It's International Civil Aviation Organization. KPHX is the ICAO code for Phoenix Sky Harbor. Let's say I don't know that. How do I find Phoenix Sky Harbor? Pretty easy. If I know it's Phoenix Sky Harbor, I can just type in the airport name, Phoenix Sky Harbor, and there you see it's already highlighted down here. Well, what if I don't know the airport name? Let's take Page, for example. Do you know the name of the airport in Page? Probably not. So we'll go over here and we'll search by city. We'll type in Page, and you can see that there are 3 cities named Page that are in FSX. And 2 of them are in Arizona, this one and this one. Well, if we're flying this for our virtual airline, then we already know, we should know that we want to go to Page Municipal or KPGA. And that'll be on your ACARS window and also on the website when you bid on your flight. So we know this is the one we're going to choose. Now, this is our departure airport, so we don't want Page yet. Instead, we want Phoenix. So we'll go back in here and type in KPHX. There's Phoenix Sky Harbor. We're going to select that. I always highlight it. Even though it was the one chosen, I always highlight it. Now, it defaults to the active runway. I've already put my aircraft at parking space 116. So I want to make sure that I choose gate 116 so that my aircraft doesn't have to be moved. Click OK. Now we want to choose our destination. We do it the same exact way that we chose our departure. We're going to click on the select button and we're going to type in the airport ID, the airport name, or the city, whichever one we want. Now, since Phoenix is the airport we just chose, it automatically populated that for us. That's annoying to me, but it does it. So let's type in KPGA. It's Page, Arizona. That's the airport we want to fly to. Highlight it and click OK. Now, there's two different modes of flight here: visual flight rules and instrument flight rules. Now, you may not understand instrument flight rules, but eventually I'm assuming you're going to want to learn to fly real-world procedures. If this hobby has the same effect on you as it has on me and literally hundreds of thousands of other people around the world, believe me, eventually you're going to want to try and do things the right way. That being said, we're going to plan this flight right into our GPS, and we don't have to really worry about a whole lot. So we're going to select IFR, and instead of going direct, now sure, direct is the shortest route, right? Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. However, that's not really how it gets done in the real world. Most of the time, especially for long flights, you would use high altitude airways. You could use low altitude airways, or VOR to VOR. When we do some tutorials later on that encompass more complex flight planning for longer routes using different flight planning tools other than the native FSX flight planner, we'll get into some more of that. But for now, these short flights, we're gonna fly VOR to VOR. So I'm going to select that, and then I want to click on Find Route. And you can see it pulls a route up for us, and it goes from VOR to VOR. PXR is the Phoenix VOR, FLG is the Flagstaff VOR, and TBC is a VOR for an airport that I don't know what it is. It's this airport right here. These blue boxes all over the place, these are all VORs. And these are there in the real world. These VORs really do exist. Now, the first thing we see here is that it set our cruising altitude at 16,000 feet. Well, that's incorrect for two reasons. It is high enough to clear all the mountains, but this is a 211-mile flight. We're going to burn less fuel at higher altitude, and we have plenty of time to get up to a higher altitude, so we're going to want to fly higher. Secondly, and I'll explain this more in depth in more advanced tutorials, but as you can see, the bulk of our flight is on the east side of the compass. This is north right here. So the bulk of our flight travels on the east side of the compass, with the exception of this part right here where we're going, that's actually, I just happen to know it's 338 degrees, and that's only because I flew it earlier today. But the rest of our flight is on the other side of the compass. When you're flying in a direction that falls on the east side of the compass, anywhere over here between 360 degrees and 179 degrees, you're supposed to fly at an odd 1,000 feet. So 16,000 would be incorrect because that's even. We're going to fly higher anyway. We're going to go ahead and schedule this flight for 23,000 feet. So there we just type it in, no big deal. Now if we want, we can look at our nav log. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not too worried about it. We're going to go ahead and click OK. It's going to ask us to name our flight. We can go with the default name, or we can give it any name we want. Excuse me. Now you can see I already put in a tutorial flight plan up here because I did this once already. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to go ahead and replace that file. Yes, I want to replace it. And now it asks me if I want the flight simulator to move my aircraft to the departure airport listed on the flight plan. Sorry, I had to take a drink of something before I choked to death. Here's the thing. If I've already started my ACARS and I click yes, as far as ACARS is concerned, I basically did what's called slew mode, which basically slew mode is just a way that you can move the airplane around without actually flying it. You're not allowed to do that. So if ACARS decides that I used slew mode, then it's going to reject my pilot report when I go to file it, and I'll have wasted my time on this flight. That is why we chose where we wanted to be on the airport when we set up our flight plan. You remember we chose gate 116 because that's where I put the airplane and that's where I want to start. So I can click no here and we stay right where we're at. If I had clicked yes, it would have brought us to here, but it would still register it in ACARS as a slew, and we don't want that. If I hadn't put the airplane here to start with, or if I chose a different gate when I set up that flight plan and then I click yes and tell it to move the airplane for me, ACARS may pick that up as a slew if you've already got it running, and then your pilot report will be rejected, and you don't want that. So here we are, flight plan's all set up and we're ready to go. So all we need to do now is start the engines. Now if you've seen any of my Life of a Virtual Airline Pilot flights to this point, you'll know that the process for starting the engines, even in this King Air 350, which is, you know, relatively small, it's a light aircraft, is still pretty extensive. There's a lot involved in real world procedures, and I follow pretty long checklists to make sure I get everything. We're not going to do that. Not only does the inside of this aircraft not simulate all of those things properly, we'll take a look real quick. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that the inside of this airplane doesn't look anything like the inside of the airplanes that I fly in my videos. This is a default aircraft. Even if I'm in a 737 or a 747, the panel that I get is not as in-depth or accurate as the panel is on an aircraft that you actually pay money for, and I pay money for those airplanes. But that doesn't mean you have to. The fact of the matter is you've got an airplane right here that you can fly. So why not fly it? I flew nothing but default aircraft for probably the first 8 years that I flew Flight Simulator. I never paid money for an aircraft. So, and that being said, as soon as you buy one, you want to buy another one. It's addictive. So you may not have the money, you may not be ready to get those more advanced complex aircraft. That's alright. There's nothing wrong with this aircraft right here. We're going to fly this one today. Now it does have a lot of the same switches and stuff down here. It doesn't have some of the handy features that you get in your payware aircraft. For example, in my King Air 350 that I paid for, if I click right here, it'll actually hide that yoke so that I can see all those switches down there when I'm doing my extensive pre-start and startup procedures. We don't have that here, but we don't need to worry about it. The only thing we need to make sure of in a default aircraft is that this beacon light is on before we start the engines. I don't have to do anything else. Beacon light is on. Up is on. Whoops, wrong button. Up is on, down is off. The beacon light is on, I'm good to go. So let's hop back outside here. I'm going to start the aircraft from the outside of the airplane. Since the beacon light is on, as soon as the battery comes on, the beacon light will turn on before the engines start, which means I will not get a warning from ACARS. If you start the engines and your beacon light is not on, you get a warning from ACARS. Now, it doesn't mean your pilot report is going to be rejected. It just means you didn't follow a procedure that you should have followed. Okay, so make sure the beacon light's on and make sure your parking brake is set right here. If you don't know how to set the parking brake, just hit Control and the period key together and it'll set the parking brake. And then it even tells you right here, press the period key to release the parking brakes. We want to leave them on for the moment, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Control key and I'm going to hit the E key, that's echo, and you're going to hear the engine start up. Takes just a few seconds. You'll hear it winding up here in a second. There it goes. And we'll give it a second to start up. This is much faster than following a checklist, I can assure you of that. And engine 2, or the right engine, is already spinning up now, and it should be going here in just a second. And there she goes. That's it. We've started our aircraft. Easy, right? Okay. So that we don't take too long on this, let's hop back inside real quick, show you a couple things, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Okay. If we look here, we can see that our avionics have all turned on, our batteries are all on, everything's on except lights. The lights don't come on automatically, but the beacon light was already on, so we're good to go there. Now, I'm going to hop back over to the flight plan here for just a second because there's one last thing I want to show you on this flight planner. We're going to click Find Route again. Now, using this flight planner can be a little difficult because you can't click the mouse and drag the map around. You have to move to the edge until you get one of these arrows, and then click to get it to move. And then if you want to move at an angle, you have to get in the corner like that. So it's a bit of a pain. And to zoom in, you can't roll the mouse wheel. You have to click on the zoom button. So we'll zoom it in a few times here. And what I want to do is I want to change this first waypoint, because PXR, as you can see here, is extremely close to the runways in Phoenix. And if I take off in this direction and I want to make a right turn and go catch my my route up here, my GPS is going to try and fly to PXR first. So I would go up here, come back, fly around, and it's just a waste of time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight PXR by clicking on it, and then I'm going to click delete waypoint. Then I'm going to zoom back down, and if I want to create my own waypoint, I'm going to click on this line and you'll see it highlight just like that, and now I can drag it. Now I can drag it to one of these triangles. These are real world. I have a very hard time saying real world. These are real world waypoints, and I can drag it to one of those, and if I let go of it, it's going to ask me which one I want, because you can see there's several down there. In this case, one of them is the ILS intercept and the other one is the Primi intersection. I don't want either one of those. So I can use real world, see, still struggling, real world waypoints, or let's say, just for the sake of argument, let's say none of these waypoints work for me. I know they would work fine, but let's just say they don't. I can click that line and I can drag it to anywhere on the map, let it go, and it automatically creates a waypoint. So you can see we go from the airport to waypoint 1 and then to the VOR and Flagstaff. Let's create another one just for the sake of argument, and let's say we have to go over here, waypoint 2, just like that. It's as simple as that. So let's go ahead and change this back to 23,000 feet real quick, and we're going to click OK. We're going to save it again with the same flight plan name. Yes, we want to overwrite it, and no, we do not want the simulator to move our aircraft. Click no. Now let's open up our GPS. We do that by holding down the shift key and hitting the number 3 at the top of the keyboard, not on the number pad. Shift 3, and there you see there's our flight plan. Okay, we can zoom out by clicking right here, and you can see that our first 2 waypoints that we customized, 1 and 2, are both on our flight plan, and you can see we're going from Phoenix to waypoint 1. If we click on the flight plan button here, you can see we go from Phoenix to waypoint 1, then to waypoint 2, then to Flagstaff VOR, then to TBC and KPGA. It's as simple as that to create a flight plan. It's very easy. Last couple of things real quick, because this video is already a little longer than I wanted it to be. I can hold down shift and hit the number 3 again, and that turns the GPS off. If I want to fly that route via GPS, in this particular aircraft, the nav GPS switch is right here. I want to flip it over to GPS. Now it's in a different location in every aircraft, but you need to find the nav GPS switch. If you have a very hard time finding it, go up to Options, Settings, and Controls, Buttons and Keys, okay, and then you want to scroll through here. You can I'm not positive where it's at. It's probably under Autopilot. Maybe not. It's not under Autopilot. The point is you're going to scroll through here. You could do it with all events, and what you're looking for is the nav GPS switch, and that you can set a keyboard function or a joystick function to automatically switch between nav and GPS so that you don't have to find that button every time. We're not going to do that right now because we know where the button is. And that's it. We're ready to go. All we have to do now is taxi out, and we're able to take off and fly our route. And all we have to do when we take off is we would set our autopilot here. Let's jump down here and I'll show you real quick. If we hold the mouse over this, we can roll the wheel up or down to change altitude. So we would set our altitude all the way up to 23,000 feet. I went too high. Doesn't matter. I'm just showing you anyway. We'll set it to 23,000 feet. Okay. And then after we take off, we would click on AP, which is autopilot. That should automatically turn on the flight director. If it doesn't, we click on that. We click on altitude hold. That's this one here. And we click on nav. And it'll climb to 23,000 feet. And it'll follow the GPS waypoints because we've selected GPS here. And it'll fly our route for us. And that's it. Very simple way to plan a flight, start up your aircraft, and get going. If you're interested in seeing some more of these videos, if you'd like to, I'm going to make some more anyway, but you know, if there's certain things you're looking for, you know, certain questions you have about FSX, about setting up flights, whatever it may be, please let me know down in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to put together a video for you. I know this ran probably just a little long. I put a couple things in there that I hadn't originally planned on, but I hope that it was helpful to you. If it was, please give a thumbs up down below, and please subscribe to my channel, and leave something down in the comments. Let me know that this helped you out, and let me know if you're looking for future videos so that I know what to make for you. I'm Captain Mac. I appreciate you taking a little time, and I hope I've helped you out today. Have a great day.